Scott, Representative Scott from the 43rd, who is a socialist, by the way. Evidence of that. So he does about a 55-minute press conference yesterday saying that we need to raise taxes on the rich. We got to go get the rich. We got to get the rich. We did all these big corporations. They're not paying their fair share, and the rich people, we need to take the money from the rich people. So King was there, and KIRO and Como, all the news organizations were there. Only 2 people asked questions. It's a press conference. Brandy Cruz, of course, is one of them, and she fires this one off.
We have a situation with many major corporations, in particular Amazon and Microsoft, which I think one of which you had mentioned, have already been shedding jobs. They didn't need tax policy to be an impetus to invest in artificial intelligence, and the goal of that technology is to divest from human labor. Yeah,
exactly. The same way they divested from human labor when it came to building cars, right? Imagine that.
The horseless carriage?
Yeah, yes. And what they end up doing is they actually grow the economy, because what you do is you reduce the cost of production, you reduce the cost to produce something, and then it brings prices down. The government doesn't bring prices down. Innovation brings prices down. The first, I watched this thing the other day, 1984, this guy was talking about this computer. It was $9,000 for the computer if you wanted like a little laptop or something. But how did the price come down? It wasn't the government, right? It's production. It's innovation. So, yeah, they're shedding jobs because they're moving to the next thing. But this guy doesn't quite get all of that.
We have seen many times in the state legislature the threat of jobs being relocated hung over the head of state lawmakers. Most famously, perhaps, in the example of Boeing, where they shook the state legislature down for the single largest corporate welfare package that was granted by a state government in the history of the republic. And then they moved the jobs anyway.
Yeah, okay. So then Brandy asked the Representative Scott, who's to blame for Washington if it isn't a great place to raise a family?
I am much more concerned about working people who are going to be displaced, working people who might move from Washington because they can't afford childcare, because they can't afford the cost of medicine, because this is not a good place to try to start or raise a family or go to school.
You said that Washington is not a good place, I'm going to misquote you, to live, work, raise a family, or go to school. Whose fault is that?
Well, we can definitely have a very, very thorough conversation
about... If you
think
it's not a good state to do all those things, whose fault is
that?
Sure.
So we can have a great conversation about the shortcomings of elected officials who have maybe been here longer than I have. I was elected last November. I have done my best to put forward policies that are going to be good for people in our state. And I think it's part of the democratic process to criticize where criticism is due.
Yeah, that's the most trenchant question that was asked. If all this stuff's bad, why is it bad? Is it because of the government? The answer is, of course, yes. Brady then asked Scott if he believes giant corporations like Amazon are good for the state of Washington.
Would you like them to leave, Representative Scott? Do you think that Amazon and Microsoft are a net good for our state?
I think that workers, were they to collectivize, could come up with something like Amazon on their own, but that Amazon has a very difficult time providing the value that you would like to see in reverse. In other words, I think that working people getting together, forming unions, coming out and lobbying for policies such as this could create something that resembled an Amazon corporation without that added layer of exploitation. But I don't know that Amazon's leadership, such as it is, would be able to do something like that on its own. So
yeah, it's exploitation of labor. It's classic Marxism.
I'm much more concerned with the social good of people that are in Washington state, that want to be here, that believe in Washington state enough to fight for well-funded public programs. And they can speak for themselves through other channels if they would like to.
Well-funded public programs. That means more tax dollars. And the reason people leave is because, one, you're paying more for crappier service, and two, you can't afford to live here. If they continue to raise the price of what it costs for you when it comes to your paying for your house, when it comes to property taxes, and you're paying an extra 54 cents in order to save the climate, and then all the additional taxes that go into it, eventually some people, and it looks like more and more people, decide, I don't want to leave, but I'm going to go. I have to leave.